The story of the show is about a young man called Elliot who's experiencing some difficulties. His social interactions are impaired by a difficult event in his life, and the way that he's coping with the circumstances through interaction with the peripheral people around him.
Well, when I first read the script, it was kind of, I connected with him, you know, because we can all experience grief and we can all understand what grief's like. We all have our own ways of dealing with that, but we all do have a way of dealing with it.
The depression experienced by the main character, it's a symptom of emotions that he's unable to deal with. He's running away from his feelings, really. Running into an obsession, which is with extraterrestrials.
He builds a radio transmitter in order to be able to contact alien life forms.
The first thing you see in this play is the main character. He's built this radio transmitter in his flat, and that's kind of what his life revolves around.
Can you hear me? I know you're there.
Right here is the radio transmitter that the director built.
The obsession could be anything, really. I mean, it could be any addiction. It could be using drink or drugs or sex. You know, all those things are an attempt to flee, really, from reality.
I'm currently sitting on a beanbag, which will be used for Elliot to sit on within his flat area. Behind is my model box showing the miniature version. Hopefully it's not all fallen over. So far the specific challenges is, I guess, getting a lot of newspaper to make 9 planets. Okay, so these are the planets that I've been working on. They're made fully out of newspaper, so a lot of sorting of newspaper and building, constructing, and later on I'll be paper macheing it all, so, and getting the different sizes, which is also another challenge. I've got to make a costume, and so getting into the making of using fabric again, that I'm kind of out of practice, but looking forward to doing. This exciting thing is the transmitter's aerial, and it kind of expands about 3-4 times its size and fills the whole room, so it's great for touring.
I actually helped with the read-through of Distance Between the Stars in one of its earlier forms, and so I came to audition when I saw it advertised and basically said I'd audition for any of the female roles.
I want Steve to get a lot of credit for his scripts, because I think it's a very good script.
I really enjoyed the script when I came across it in the read-through. I thought the subjects that it tackled in the play and the sort of reveal at the end, it's very sensitively done.
I felt that it was a complete script for a new piece of writing. It didn't need any changes, very little work in terms of what would work in rehearsal and in performance. I liked the characters, the rounded, well-constructed characters, and I liked how the piece was constructed in itself, in the different scenes and how they linked together.
Elliot! Elliot! Is electricity all right?
Mr. Bozzoni, he's Elliot's landlord, and he's a very interesting and complicated character. The show deals with loss and bereavement for a number of the characters, and he's lost his wife 18 months ago and recently lost a pet, and he needs social interaction, and therefore he talks to Elliot and asks Elliot to assist him in making friends and relationships.
Loneliness. It's a part of the human condition. What's the antidote? Companionship. I'm basing this on a friend of mine who lived with his mother for many, many years. His mother died and he lives on his own. And his only companion is his dog and his cat. What he does is he does waffle on about stuff. If I say something about something, he will create a story out of what I've said, and it will be embellished. I know it's embellished, but you know that's the way he is. That he embellishes stuff just to keep the conversation going. He's on his own. He doesn't have a television. He listens to the radio. He reads the Guardian. Funny enough, reads the Guardian, and he just is in a single world of his own, and that's what it is. And some of the traits that I've seen in Mr. Mazzoni as regarding the loneliness, the wantingness to speak to people, the need to speak to people because he's so lonely and stuff like that. All right, I might be exaggerating my friend's touch on that, but it just gives me the emphasis of feeling that loneliness that you feel when you're on your own and you've got no one to talk to.
Well, good luck to you.
Thing is, I need somebody to write the words for the web. The ladies need to know I'm out there before they form a queue. He wants to be liked by women and stuff. He wants to do that, but since his wife's died, I think his wife was the ruler of the home because she named the cat, and he couldn't have anything to do with that. He had to, so I think she was the ruler, and I think he's feeling now that he's got more to give to people. And I think he's going to trying to find that, but he doesn't know how to do it because he's been so insular all that time and with his wife and such. So he's reaching out to Elliot to try and move his life on, if you like, and he's trying to get something forward if he can.
Diet? What about that fruit and vegetables? Are you getting your 5 a day? What did you have yesterday?
Not so sure.
Yes, you are.
Helen is Elliot's sister. She's a doctor and she's very caring, but the way in which she displays that is quite a difficult, tough love, I think is how it's described in the show.
I think it's quite an interesting character because obviously it's brother and sister with Elliot, so for me as an actor there's an entire life they can to actually think about that has brought them up to this point, and what's happened to her brother and how the sister would, the feelings that she's experienced during that time, and how she's coped with life. And she's also a doctor, which kind of affects maybe the way she approaches her brother in this situation. Simple food, nutritional. It doesn't have to be lobster thermidor.
What's that?
It's lobster cooked in bechamel sauce. Look. We're very lucky that the director has sort of trusted our decisions that we're making, and if we want to change something we've been able to suggest it, so I've really enjoyed it.
I obviously read all scripts from the point of view of a director as to what I'd like to do with it, but you never quite know how that's going to work out until you get in rehearsal with the cast.
Big yourself up. And the whole experience of just being involved with this and learning the scripts, it's been great for me. It's a great learning curve for me to doing this, and I'm really enjoying it. It's great.
Organised Chaos works sort of right from the beginning of a project. It feels like they've had connections with the writers. They've almost sort of mentored them or matched them up with mentors, as in the case with Ian Townsend working on this production. And they tackle all different types of subjects. The scripts, I've done historical ones, but they've been very modern in the same time. And there isn't a subject that Organised Chaos is afraid of sort of tackling. And I've noticed just sort of following the process of the company that they've kept going, and a lot of fringe theatre, they just sort of do one production and then disappear. So I think Organised Chaos has done really well on building up, a good reputation, and it follows up with, touring, and it's bringing audiences to Manchester as well as taking it out, the productions out to them. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed working with them.
What's been useful to me being part of this production is an opportunity to get involved with fringe theatre in Manchester. I've been involved in Yorkshire, and it's quite difficult to make connections. I do dislike intensely the term networking, but it's something that we all have to do, and it's about getting out there and talking to people who are of a similar mind, who want to do good new theatre.
Working with the director, the cast members, stage management, it's a lot of discussion, collaborative, and bouncing off ideas off one another. Working
with Tony, the director, is interesting as well. There's a lot of freedom there. I think there's a real a real collaboration going on between the cast and the crew and everyone else who's involved.
Everyone's great. I know everyone says that, everyone's great. No, I think we're gelling. Just right now, a couple of weeks before the show, is, you know, when things are really coming together. And everyone's busy, you know, Chris is busy Chris is the stage manager, he's busy sorting out, you know, lighting and sound and all of that.
I mainly take more the role of operating the sound in rehearsals, that way then the actors get used to working with the sound, and that helps them to work with the scenes. And also it's one less pressure for the actors for when they go into rehearsal and into tech and dress rehearsals and to the actual shows.
As actors, you know, we're trying to create these scenes and hoping that they're okay. And yeah, the director's, you know, great. He's a bit of everywhere. He's sorting out Chris, sorting out us, and even Steve's been in rehearsals too, which is good because it's his play.
Daisy is a friend of Elliot's, not a close friend to start with. They actually met whilst in hospital together, and she helps him in his difficulties, and there is the potential of a romance there, but it's not very overt through the show. But at the end of it, there is that possibility.
As the play develops, we see that she's got lots going on as well, and you know, at different points she might seem to mask it or hide it better than Elliot, but we do see that she's gone through a lot of stuff in the past. So while she might seem young, bubbly, outgoing, she's also got a lot of past to overcome as well. Elliot, we already had this conversation. I can do it, so can you. As well as Elliot, and then I think most characters in the play have a struggle, have something they're struggling with, and Daisy definitely has that.
It's nice to work on something different to what I've worked on. Sometimes I've worked on festivals where it's a compilation of shows, but it's also nice to work on a nice down-to-earth topic-based show, something that's based on what's happening in today's world, and also that element of going into something that you don't really see in theatre, of the sci-fi, and you don't generally see science fiction being portrayed as much in theatre as other topics, such as mental illness is a little bit more prominent in theatre, I would say, than science fiction, and it's nice how them two being put together.
There is humour in it, but it's also there is a sort of dark side to it, and I think there's something the audience can connect with all the way through.
Well, I'll just be brutally honest. I mean, I've had sort of mental health problems myself throughout my life, and issues with depression, and you know, I think in my experience, depression is really a symptom, and it's usually unresolved grief is what I think is the heart of depression. So yeah, the play does touch on depression, and I hope it raises a lot of questions, really, because I still think depression is misunderstood and grief is misunderstood.